Hi, everybody. So, Lisa and I are here together today, and we're going to talk about the quantum. I feel like we should talk a little bit about the energies that are happening right now, but we are quantum healers and we are doing that together. And Lisa is amazing. And she's also been doing some pretty fun things lately, manifesting quantum things for herself. So, how are you doing, Lisa? You're down in Mexico.
It's been incredible because I'm a big skier. So I live in Vermont and I always loved the winter. And then 2 years ago, I fell and fractured two bones in my knee, and I haven't recovered quite right. And so the idea of winter changed for me. And last winter, I said to myself, I'm not going to spend another winter here without getting away. I can't handle this cold. And then I didn't do anything. Like
Mhm.
I didn't know, I made no plans. And then in November, on my birthday, a woman I've known since high school, her older sister and I were best friends. She was the class below me, but we actually met in kindergarten. Her mother was my bus driver. It's a very cute story. So she contacted me out of the blue and said, I have a friend who has a timeshare in Puerto Vallarta. Would you like to join me? And I was like, instant yes. So I thought, okay, here's a week. I'll get a week. And then I was talking to a friend of mine, and this is an amazing way to live. She sold everything. She lives in Montreal. She sold her house, everything she owns, and she designs websites, and she can live anywhere in the world. So she finds places to live, to watch people's houses, watch their pets for free. So she found out that I was going to be in Mexico, and she said, if I come down, will you stay? And if I find some places for us to be, would you be willing to stay with me? And I said yes. And instantly she found a place in a remote area just outside of Puerto Vallarta, which was incredible. Then in Chapala, which is near Guadalajara, a house sit for 2 weeks. And now there may be an opportunity to extend it a month or 2 months someplace else. So this keeps happening. And the intention of really, when you're clear, because this is the other thing that's happened to me, the stress of my life has gone down so much, being in this environment, being in nature every day. Because in the winter, I'm so locked up in my house. There's sometimes 5 days I don't leave my house. Being in nature, seeing the flowers, the water, the birds, it's taken my stress level down so much that I'm finding that I'm manifesting at a much greater rate.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and and it's also de-stressed me in a way financially. I realized, not I love my house. I have no intention of selling it, but it made me realize how little you really need to live. And there's an atrium at this house, and this hummingbird got stuck way at the top, and it was flying around and flying around, and I just sat with the bird, and I just kept giving it a message, go lower, go lower. And I literally, as I did it, I watched this hummingbird lower himself to a point where he was able to fly out. And it was a really magical moment for me. And more synchronicities are happening. So I'm just seeing a lot of shifts and changes in me, and that
Mhm.
I'm much more accepting of synchronicities and experiences.
Yeah, I love that. I had an intention today to change the date on something that's happening, like the date that we're going to be leaving the city. And, this has to do with doctors and different things. And I was like, nope, I'm not staying any longer. It's happening. So we got there and I had the discussion. And at first, it felt like it was going to be really hard to connect with the person, that makes these decisions and helps. with everything and gets everything set up for future. And it was extremely easy. And, things can really the synchronicity can really come together and be so simple and so much easier than you think if you just let go and let it happen. And that's what I did. Like I was all kind of cranky before we got there and feeling like I hadn't had enough communication and all this kind of stuff. And I get there and there's so much communication and
Wow.
everything is worked out. And, we'll be leaving the city at the beginning of next week, and that's going to be beautiful. So it's just, if you allow it, then it will happen. And it's kind of letting go of the outcome.
Yeah.
And that's really important. But it's beautiful to disengage the nervous system
It
and
is, and
let it and let things happen. Yeah.
it's the first time I've really disengaged my nervous system in a really long time, and I'm noticing a change in everything.
Hmm.
Um, and how the synchronicities are really coming together. And even in everyday life down here, because you think you don't know anyone, and all of a sudden you post something on Facebook, and someone I've known for 10 years is suddenly 20 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
And
It's
then I'm getting
amazing.
invited to a sound healing with a shaman on Saturday. And I'm like, this is so cool. And
Yeah.
then, it's just one thing after another. And I did a spa day yesterday with my friend, and each they're like these concrete tubs, and they put like apple cider vinegar in one and wine in another and oatmeal in another. So you're hopping from these tubs and you have to rinse between, and then you go in and have this whole spa experience. It was $30 for 3.5 hours. It
Wow.
was amazing. So my friend sees this Mexican family barbecuing over in the corner because it's like a family place there too.
Hmm.
She goes over and just starts talking to them. Next thing I know, we're invited for dinner and doing shots of tequila. And then we didn't want the buses are really hard. They cram you on these buses and they take a long time. And suddenly they're like, we didn't want to have to take the bus. So they're like, we'll give you a ride home. And I'm like, I don't advise in a foreign country getting in a car with strangers. But we did. We got okay.
Good. Yeah. No, the Mexican culture is so beautiful. Like their culture with their family is so much fun and they're happy.
Yes.
They're really family oriented and they're really kind and quite pure most of the time, I mean, there is
Very
the
much.
cartel that you
Right.
have
I
to,
feel very
yeah.
safe here. Very safe.
Mhm.
And the food and everything's been amazing. And it was the one thing that touched me as I walk around is how family centric they are.
Oh
Sunday
yeah.
is family day. Everyone's out with their children, grandparents, multi-generational. It's really beautiful. But I'm just watching magic happen. I've definitely seen a shift in, I don't know if you want to say the timelines, or maybe I keep setting the intention of living on my highest timeline because I do. I ask to wake up in the highest timeline, and then I say I'm grateful. But even though I'm watching all of this stuff go on, and I'm living in a place where there's a lot of expats, people who are Canada and people who have escaped from the US. So they're very, very unaware of the truth of what's going on. And it's hard. You can't talk politics here
No.
at all. But I'm watching the dismantling, and I'm watching them being dismantled at the same time. These people are like losing it.
Well, and that would be the people that have chosen to be in the fifth density, but are not awake. So they're going through the fall. They're watching the fall happen and it's traumatic, and they will also feel the benefit of the fall and get to see the beauty that happens after. But it's kind of like eating something you really don't want to eat, like maybe Brussels sprouts. and that's the only food that's allowed, and you have to eat Brussels sprouts at every meal. It's kind of like that for them. Like there's no choice. They have to have to see it now.
Right.
And it's, they chose to go that way, to have it be that way for themselves. So you just have to give them space and let them go through it. And they'll all come together in little hordes of communication, of, discussion and everything. And then they will create their own timeline where they continue to rise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's disturbing to me is the lack of information of truth on their channels,
Yeah,
because
that'll change, start
it
changing.
has to, like, I was literally walked in the house and the people who live here, they were getting ready to leave and they were watching Rachel Maddow. And for someone who's aware of what's going on, listening to what she said was really disturbing. And I was like, wait a minute, I had to go and fact checked. And I realized that she was lying. And the information that she was putting out was half truths and complete lies. No wonder why these people are terrified, because it was
Yeah.
disturbing me. And I even knew that this stuff wasn't true. And I thought, they keep filling these people's heads with so much fear. And I just, I'm just shocked that they're not giving people more truth. That,
It's kind of like they still are showing people a lot of the old behavior, because the news is being called out right now.
yeah,
So yeah, and that's what we're healing right now. Unfortunately, as we heal, we have to extract whatever it is that created the illness in the first place. So
right.
the earth has been ill, and she's done her work. Like she's good right now, but we're still doing our work. We're still letting go of old trauma, and you can't switch somebody's narrative that quickly, because it will be too, they won't comprehend it. Like it will not compute. So it has to be this like gradual thing for a lot of people. And if they were clued in, if they were ever looking, they would find it so easily, the true answers.
Right.
But instead, they're just sitting and watching. And that's what's going to change. We're not going to be doing that anymore. And we're not going to be just consuming information and believing everything's true. And that's how you tell like who came to lead the way and who came to still ascend, but maybe they're a little younger soul leading the human part of you through ascension. And it's taking longer to get through the process. Like it's a lot of work to deal with the programming that humanity has had. So, depending on your age, depending on the age of your soul, all those things are factors. And there's a lot of people really awake, and there's a lot of people really spiritually awake at this point. And they're like the cutting edge of ascension. And it's like an accordion. Eventually, that other end will come and, be in the same place that we're in now. But it may
You
take
know
them
what?
another 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think about often is, there are a lot of people who are angry and want to engage with them and like, and point and all that. And I find that when I get around someone agitated like that, I actually will either agree with them, or just from the standpoint of, that must be hard for you. Um,
Yeah.
gee, how are you dealing with that? Um, yeah, that sounds like it's a terrible thing. Like, I don't go out of my way to try and convince them otherwise,
No.
unless I've planted a seed and they've kind of picked it up, and I can get like one tiny topic But for the most part right now, it's almost like you're dealing with and it's like a rabid dog. Like they're so out of control that they can't even hear you. And there's so much trunk derangement syndrome going on that it's better off to let the news and let God, the universe, to let them find out. Don't try and involve yourself. I just step away.
No, we're here to create the new. We're not here to, we were here for a long time, kind of showing things and talking about things and holding the light and doing all that. Now we're here in creator mode. It's time to create. And the things that we create are going to be the foundations of the new world and the new society and the way that we're going to live in the future. So they're going to benefit from it, but they're not ready to receive it yet. It's too big of a stretch.
So
So we have to be okay with that.
the idea of, you know, people receiving 20% of what Doge has recovered in like a tax refund type of thing. Are they even going to take that money?
Oh, they will. They totally will. Yeah. And that'll be a wake up call. And also, financial security, but will be a wake up call.
Yes.
That's going to be a wake up call to people because they'll be like, oh, well, I'm not stressed out anymore. I don't worry about survival anymore. I don't worry about, where my next month's rent is going to be or whatever, my house payment. We're not going to really have house payments anymore.
You
So,
know,
yeah.
yeah. No, I had a wake up call this morning. I went for a walk and then I went to this little market and I got butter. I got a block of cheese. I got eggs. I bought a rotisserie chicken. They do this amazing thing with the rotisserie chickens and potatoes and everything. Um, and there was salsa, $13. I know, I know. And it's like I go home and you know, back in Vermont, a chicken can be between 20 and $30 now. It's so
Yeah.
expensive. So to be able to, it was like I wanted to cry because it was like such a,
Yeah.
like we don't, the idea of when prices come down and we have the opportunity to be able to afford everything and not be in fight or flight and stressed out on all our bills and taxes and all of that and be able to just live. And the idea of creating right now is just envisioning what you want and allowing that to show up and trusting and that is scary. I mean, to let go of I don't know where the money's going to come from. I don't know, you know, how I'm going to deal with all this. The more you let go of that, the more it comes.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels counterintuitive.
It does, but once you get into the groove of that, of just having faith that the universe is going to take care of you, it's very calm.
Yeah,
And I've been there for a while in that space, and it's like the most beautiful place to be. Like there's no franticness
yeah,
within me anymore. Um, the biggest thing would be like an irritation about a situation. And as soon as I let go of it, the situation resolves itself. So I'm still not perfect in traffic yet,
right.
but in general, and even that is much better.
Oh,
But it's just kind of interesting the way that it's unfolded and that we're kind of coming into our own now. And the financial stuff is going to come along with that.
right,
So, and you can see it unfolding, like it's beautiful. Um, right now, like XRP and gold is always being talked about, and all these things are really being discussed. And it's very apparent that they're rolling things out, and we will see how it looks exactly because the timelines are always shifting.
right.
but it feels like we're on a really good timeline. And people who have chosen not to be awake yet, just taking away the fight or flight, taking away the nervous system like overreaction, that's going to change everything for them because they're not going to be worried about survival anymore.
I feel like one of the reasons why God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, brought me down here was to give me a glimpse of that. And even as I'm working on this book, more and more people are showing up and more people are wanting to participate and everything's coming together exactly. And the other thing is when the pressure is off financially, I can take one day and work from 7 in the morning until dinner time if I want or later. And then I'll take the next day and go play. Like literally
Yeah.
could just give myself a day. And so to be able to do that and have my own schedule and be able to do these things and not feel that anxiety has been huge.
Yeah, it is. It's huge. And it's a big change for humanity in general because they've been used to being under somebody's thumb. And that's, they're going to be their own creator. And basic needs will be met in the future. And we're going to learn more and more about how to manifest. So, somebody who doesn't believe in manifesting, doesn't believe they're, I'll believe it when I see it person, they will figure it out over time, but they will still figure it out. They've chosen to be here, and we don't have 3D and 4D interfering anymore. We just have the residue that we have to deal with. So that's what our healing is about too, is to heal all the old wounds,
Right.
help you with any shadows, help you with um genetic line stuff, any cellular memory, help you with your inner child. A lot of stuff, your inner child hasn't been nourished enough, hasn't been loved enough, hasn't been allowed to be a kid
Yeah.
too. So when you meet somebody that's happy and they're doing their thing, we used to always think like, what's that weird person doing over there? But
Yeah.
actually, like, they've figured it out. So be your weird self and do everything that you can for yourself for healing, whether you're doing our healing or not.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a beautiful time for us to all heal. And as we heal, then it will inspire more and more people that are just getting going to heal themselves because they're basically just going through their dark night of the soul.
You know, you've been a great inspiration for me because I got wrapped up in that whole financial thing and expenses and my house and everything and always like where's the next, going to come from? And I've watched you be so peaceful and calm and it is it really feels the opposite of what we've been trained to do, but it's almost like sometimes the less I do, the more comes.
Yeah.
But I've had to do a lot of work around it, a lot of releasing because the triggers aren't there. And I was even sitting there yesterday thinking, okay, when's the shit gonna hit the fan? Pardon my French, because I'm feeling so peaceful and I've been feeling so peaceful and I feel like I'm trusting everything and everything's coming to me. And there's this part of you that, where we're raised to think that, everything can't be great. And I was like, no, but I really feel good. Like, I don't feel like there's anything. I'm sure there's triggers left in my life, but I just feel a peace that I've never had before. And yeah, I just need to stay with that. And
Yeah,
I
just
just
stay with it. And if one pops up, then you just deal with it when
just
it
deal
pops
with
up.
it.
Yeah.
But the healing work, I have to say, not only I watch people shift so much faster now, people who I would have to take, several months of doing work with
Hmm.
are shifting. Like I used to say, I'm not a one-hit wonder, but I'm actually getting I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, that was good. But
Yeah.
people are shifting much faster, and I'm seeing between the quantum healing that we've been doing and people having some amazing shifts and changes. So in order to manifest and do this work, the more you release, the more you let go, the faster it comes and the less stress and anxiety you have in your life. It's
Mhm.
it's this beautiful circle. And even things like I did an interview with a fellow yesterday, Jeff Weitzman. He figured out how to tap into your straw man. Like he's actually gone and work. He hasn't physically taken money out, but he's been able to take credits from it, and
Mhm.
he's used it for many different things. And I was like, so people are starting to access their money already.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a thing. It's really a thing. And it's being broadcast that it's not going to be allowed anymore. Well, and I don't think it has actually been for a couple of years. I don't think the elites have been touching any of the money for a long time because they've been kicked out of it. But it's now being shown, with the whole straw thing, the whole straw communication, that it's over.
Yeah,
And that's going to go back to the people. And I'm sure that they will probably say that some of it was stolen, or they were using all the interest or whatever. They were using, you know, some of the money, but there's a tremendous amount there. And that's going to be a trust fund for most people. That is their cushion, right? But for some of us, it's like just going to be a drop in the bucket because we have spent so much time investing in the things that are going to be here for the new world, for the changeover, you know. So that's also coming.
right.
Yeah. So it's just a beautiful time to be alive because we're about to build the foundation of the new world right now. And to me, it's like, finally, this is what we've been waiting for, so I'm
Exactly.
so ready. Yeah.
Well, especially those of us who've been awake for a little while it was always this anticipation, but we didn't know. But now to see the signs and this whole thing about now they want to go see the gold at Fort Knox.
Yeah. Yeah. And they may
W-
say that it's not there.
Yeah. Well, there's
Yeah.
supposedly plane loads of gold coming from London right now.
Yeah. I think that already happened.
Yeah,
Um, but where are they going to put it? Are they going to demonstrate that there were naughty people taking it all? Or are they going to put the gold in there right now? Or are they going to say they took it and we're going to go get it back? Like what, did they play it out? I feel like is up to the timelines and what they think is
right.
best for humanity. Yeah. And it's
That's a
getting
big
kind
wake
of
up call
fun,
if it's gone. Yeah,
right? Yeah, it's getting fun. And the more fun we have, the faster things will happen. Yeah. So it's very
yeah.
cool.
No, it's an interesting ride. And yeah, so Honey and I are doing our healing Thursday, February 27th at 12 o'clock Eastern and then 4 o'clock Eastern. You can go to one of them or you can come to both. It's $44. We do this monthly, so it's a monthly subscription, but if you want to just do one or two, you can always cancel. It's pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
But people, it's also community, and we're having so much fun. People are having really great experiences. And the more I do this work, the more I see the shifts and changes, even though I'm actually one of the people who's doing the healings along with Honey, I'm getting a healing too.
Yeah.
And I feel the change in me. and the peace that's happened since I started doing this. It's really made a big
It's,
difference in me.
yeah, it's amazing, really. I just love it. And I love to go into the Akashic records and take everybody
Right.
and just go through all the processes of clearing, because that's really where we live. Like, we really live in the astral plane. We're on a little planet in the middle of the astral plane, and that planet has a soul, and she's here to be the game board of this learning experience. And to me, that's such like a wow concept. And here we are changing everything, basically. So we are helping the universe. Basically, it has ascended at this point because we are in fifth density. Even if we don't know it, even if we're carrying around all the programming, and you can ask your pendulum, am I in fifth density? But it is a beautiful thing, and things are going to speed up. They're going to be faster and faster because we don't have the resistance anymore of third and fourth density. And it's going to allow things to become more and more beautiful as we go. And the more shedding we do of the old stuff, the faster it's going to go.
No, it
So,
is. And then we talked a little bit about dealing with NPCs too. They're going to start to go away as well,
yeah. Yes.
non-player
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. So, I always say there were so many people in the state of Vermont who got jabbed, and I was like, is there going to be anyone left? And I don't know to plow my driveway. I mean, just it's going to be interesting to see what happens with our population and what's really needed and where we get to
Mhm.
pick up the difference and how technology is really going to be helping us too. And
Yeah.
what
Technology will be huge.
and
Mhm.
what's going on with the weather, with this frigid weather? Is that the dark cats doing that, or is that Mother Nature? Is that what's going on with what? I mean, it's crazy. There's over 5 feet of snow at my house, and like 8, 10 foot drifts.
Yeah, I actually think this has a lot to do with the big shebang of letting go of weather modification. So we are going to see that start to taper off, and it will be RFK who helps that go. And they're talking about it already and how it's poisonous, and it is not nearly as poisonous as it was, but it's still metals up there. And, that's not good for the body, but also, um, some of the World's Fairs, like the Chicago World's Fair, they had cactus growing there, huge cactus. And that was the old Roman architecture, Tartarian, Roman. Um, that was normal. That's what it was supposed to look like. We're going into a temperate climate. And we've had a lot of interference with weather, and that's going to go away. And not only that, we're going to have more oxygen. So we're going to be healthier and healthier the further we go into this. And the weather is going to modify because we are basically in a terrarium. So it's going to be what I received from Higher Self was 74 degrees, like at a normal, not even sea level, but like even a little bit above sea level, 74 degrees in the day and 50 at night. And
It's
it
my
will
favorite.
vary depend. Yeah, it's my favorite temperatures too. And you're going to have that feeling of a little bit of a chill at night, which I think feels good to the body. Like, it helps the body want to go to sleep, and like, it just feels good. And then you can so keep your sweaters, keep that kind of stuff. But that's why they didn't need those huge, like, their fireplaces were used with radium in the past. So they were using a rock to heat the house. And some of the cars were using that too. And there's newspaper clippings and stuff. So it wasn't as cold.
That's so interesting because I used to live in Pittsburgh, which was one of the wealthiest cities in the country at one point. And the house we bought was over 100 years old, and the cost of
Mhm.
living was very little when we lived there. So we ended up with this crazy ass house.
That's fun.
My daughter was like 3 years old and got lost in it. It had 3 stories and 9 fireplaces. I'll never live in a house like that again. But there were 9 fireplaces, but there was no place for logs. They were really
Yeah.
shallow, and we would walk. We're like, they're useless. Like, what are we going to do? We have nothing to do with these fireplaces. We couldn't do anything. And we were like, what did they use these for?
Mhm.
So that is, it was an old Tartarian. It had stained glass. It had an elevator in it. It had a dumbwaiter.
Wow.
It was insane. The entryway with 30-foot ceilings, and I had a sit-down dinner in the entryway of my house. It was an insane house, but everything in it was so beautiful and
Yeah.
so well pointed. And I miss the art and the beauty.
Yeah.
That's how they resurrect cities that
Mhm.
are, that are, not doing well. They bring art back. That's what they did with Pittsburgh. They brought art, food, and music, and
Yeah.
people will come.
That's what's
So
going to happen. That's going to be all of what we're doing is beautiful architecture, beautiful art, dancing, food, and a lot of the food is going to be homegrown food. There's a lot of people that want to have a garden again, so there's going to be a lot of local food. And I feel like the food's going to be like more like Italy. Italy is homegrown food. You deal with the food that's close by, like in different regions of
right.
Italy or states of Italy. I don't know what they call them, but they have different foods, and it depends on what is going on in the area. What are they growing? And that's going to be a big thing everywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like right here, Driscoll's, which the if you see in the supermarket, the strawberries and blueberries and
Hmm.
raspberries, they grow it. The companies right here, and so they take the leftovers, and people will come down with these big things, and we buy them for like pennies on the dollar, and we go in, and I mean the best raspberries I've ever had in my life because they're ripe right here. They're grown
Yeah.
right here. They're not shipped, before they're made. So food tastes better when it's local.
Hmm.
And I have to say, I'm a new gardener, but my first garden a couple of years ago was amazing. And then the past 2 years was awful. Nothing was growing because of
Because the
all of
weather's
the
out of
the
whack.
stuff and
Hmm.
the sky, and we had no sun and all the chemtrails, and it was really depressing. So I'm looking forward to be able to do that again, and
Yeah. Yeah.
having
It's
a
going to be
rich,
amazing.
yeah.
And also, the plants are ascending too. So they're a little confused and out of whack.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So is there something that we can do as a community to help the plants ascend? Because we do communicate or connect to them. Does it make sense to meditate with them?
Yeah. Trees especially, and the mycelium network will send out frequency. So that's really good. Grid workers, so people that are grid workers and they want to be in nature and they need to sit in nature. People who are drawing certain kinds of like designs and stuff, they are also sometimes doing grid work. There's a guy that I like to use as an example, and he's a younger guy, and he goes out and he creates beautiful patterns with rocks on the beach and with leaves in the forest. And he is a grid worker, whether he knows it or not, and he's creating frequencies that are getting sent out and helping. So if you're drawn to do nature art, I would totally go do that. I mean, there's all kinds of things. You can talk to the plants. We're not going to be eating plants in the future, I don't think. Um, we're going to be eating fruit probably, and eventually that's mostly what we'll be eating. But we're in transition as well. And, so whatever you're eating now, do what your body's asking you to do. But as things transition, we'll probably be more interested in just eating fruit, and then eventually we'll hardly ever eat.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just a process. And we can also, it's getting like dark in here. We can also do a lot of sun gazing, charging the body with the sun,
Mm,
and making sure you're not really covering up the eyes when you're in the sun, at least part of the time.
right.
There's certain things like that you can really do to invite health in.
It's interesting because I watched a thing about not wearing sunglasses or sunscreen. And
Mhm.
I have very fair skin. And so I'm always worried in a tropical environment. And I have to say, I have not burned because I
Oh,
have barely worn my sunglasses. And, I'm careful, but I have not had a single like crazy sunburn, which is pretty usual for me.
yeah, I'm the same. So I quit wearing them. I wear them in the car sometimes, but I'm really lazy. I don't put contacts in hardly ever. So, they're going to be like these huge things that go over my glasses or something. And I'm not too keen on wearing that. So I'm just wearing my glasses most of the time. And even through the glass, you still have the same reaction to the sun. Like your eyes are judging what you need for your
Right.
skin so that you don't burn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
So this is a great conversation.
I know. I always enjoy
Yeah.
talking to you. But
It's so fun.
we'd love people to come and join us next Thursday. Again, 12 o'clock Eastern and 4 o'clock Eastern. You can get to we'll have the links below, but it's balancingbodyandsoul.com. And then you can join our community as well. And
Mhm.
it's a really nice support network there. And yeah, hope to see you all next Thursday.
Yes, we do. And it is recorded, so you can do it more than once if you wish. Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.